the past 4 months, 3 families in one local community have suffered the same profound loss. 3 Newton High School students have taken their own lives since October. While there does not appear to be a link between the 3, concerned parents and teachers are looking at ways the schools might be able to step in and help. My next guest has strong opinions about the role of the school system in response to these deaths. Gonzalo Bacigalupe is the president of the American Family Therapy Academy and teaches counseling and school psychology at UMass Boston. He's also the father of a Newton High School student. Welcome to Greater Boston.
Thank you for having me. A privilege.
Well, one of the issues was that after the suicide death of Katie Stack, and also a high school student, that this open letter went home, and they didn't mention the word suicide. They were addressing death, but they didn't even mention the girl prompting one of the high school seniors there to write a letter back. He said the letter was extremely impersonal. It didn't acknowledge who she was or what she did at all. I mean, is that one of the issues? I mean, how could they write and not mention suicide when everybody in the community knew that's what it was?
Clearly, there's been a difficulty at addressing and having a conversation about it. In fact, you know, the column that I wrote generated so many comments, and you know, you can disagree or agree with what I'm saying and what I'm suggesting, but clearly, you know, it shows that there's a need for parents and everybody, actually, not just parents and kids and professors and teachers, everybody, to have a conversation about this. Yes.
I mean, what's your, first of all, we should say, nobody knows why these kids committed suicide.
No one knows.
They didn't, you know, if the parents know, they're not telling us. And
right, but also,
no idea.
but I want to suggest that sometimes we only see this idea that they had mental health problems or they have something.
Right.
But we really don't know. I mean, there's a lot of kids who might have mental health problems, they don't commit suicide. So it's not just the only reason. And sometimes there's the implication that somehow the parents didn't do something, and that's, you know, it's worrisome.
But I mean, do you think, talk about the schools a little bit, because, you know, especially in these high-performing schools, Newton, Brookline, there's a whole bunch of them, Lexington, there's whole Concord, and not just in those communities, they're all over the state. That, you know, there is a lot of pressure, but that's been going on for decades. Is there something different about it now that might, not that there's a correlation, because we don't know if there was, but is there something
I think
different?
that there's an increasing sense of having to continuously perform, quote, better, to do more. So a kid might be volunteering in one place, and there's the addition of an extra volunteering. There's sort of this build-up of some sort of a CB, and a continuous pressure to do more. And now, there are different kids, and I think that's the very important part. There are kids who might be able to do a lot of things at the same time. They might be able to meet high academic standards in everything. They might do extracurricular activities. But others, maybe they need to concentrate on one thing and do it well. And I think that's what sometimes is lacking in support, the idea that, you know, kids are different. Now, I also teach, and I don't blame the teachers for this or the counselor. I'm not blaming anybody. I think there's a collective responsibility. What I like to have is a conversation about how could we do better? If we do better with achieving, why not we do better with our health, so to speak?
But Gonzalo, I mean, kids, I remember being a teenager. I mean, kids focus on, you know, I'm too fat, I'm too ugly, you know, nobody will go out with me, my boyfriend broke up with me, and all these personal
part of growing up
that you dwell and you focus and you drill down on it. And sometimes it has nothing to do with, you know, the fact that you're also a C student. You know?
That's correct, you know, but I think that sometimes this is like, you know, there are many factors, there are many risks. I had a conversation with my son about this. There are many, it's not one thing, but I think that when you add up, when you pile up, you know, something's going to break. And I don't think that, you know, in a school where there are 500 kids, 2 suicides, I think the cost is too high. We need to do something.
Now, how did the principal respond when there was no discussion about who this was or I mean, you know, who are they protecting? Are they trying to protect the family? I mean, is it because it's a privacy issue?
I do think that the principal and the superintendent do really care, and I do think that most of the personnel do care, but I think that sometimes there's a push to move on to business as usual too quickly. There's no space to be mindful about it and just stop to acknowledge this is the death of a 17-year-old kid. There's a family that's being devastated, and everybody gets very scared. This is serious, very serious. It's more important than an exam that week. I'm sorry, but I think that
shut the school down for the day.
I would say for a week there's not going to be any activity that really
just
calls for...
We're going to go in there and talk about this.
Let's talk. But also, let's also have other kids to continue doing their normal things, but to acknowledge a minute of silence, every activity, to really to be mindful of this is a real tragedy.
All right, Gonzalo Bacigalupe, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.